So for today's video, we're using this beautiful yarn art vista in this color, which is called cherry red. They have got such lovely colors, and with it we're going to make our beautiful neck warmer. I'm using a size 5 needle. It does say a size 4, but I'm going to make it slightly looser. So yeah, let's get going. It is made in 2 parts. First you're going to make the collar, and then you're going to make the half granny square, which is a very nice thing to learn as well. Okay, and we're going to make a slip knot on the hook, and we're going to chain 14. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 14. Okay, so there's our chain of 14, and we're going to work in half double crochet. So the last 2 there will be the height of our first half double crochet. So to do a half double crochet, okay, those are the heights. So you're going to ignore the first 2 and go into the 3rd stitch there, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, start with that yarn over into the chain, pull through 3 on your hook, yarn over and pull through those 3. So there should be 12, well, there are 12 chains, so there are 12 stitches to be done. So let's do those 12 stitches, our first row, and I'll show you the second row, which is a repeat until you've got the length you need to fit around your neck. That is the neck warmer part, the neck cuff part. There we go, come to the end of our first row. That's what it looks like there. We're going to chain 2 to start the next row of half double crochets and turn your work, yarn over, and then you're going to work exactly as you did, but only into the back loops here. You see there's a V, that's the front loop, that's the back loop, and we're going to work only into the back loops from now until the end of this length of neck warmer. So into the back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, and that's what you're going to do the whole row until you get to the last stitch. When you go to the last, get to the last stitch, you can actually work through both. It just gives it a neater ending. So into all 11 stitches, you're going to go into the back loop, which gives it that ribbed effect and a more stretchy effect. You're able to stretch it a little bit more with the back loop only. So you're going to do back loop until you get to the last stitch, where we nearly are there. Let's get there quickly to the last loop, and then you're going to go into both sides of the stitch for your last stitch. Okay, here's the last one here, and we're not going to go into the back loop only, we're going to go into both, so it ends sort of a little bit more securely. Okay, and there's row 2, and you can see by going into that back loop, we've got this ridge here, which is that ribbed effect, that ribbed look that you see in cuffs and edges of jerseys. Okay, so that is your repeat row. Every row you're going to start with a chain 2 and turn, yarn over and into that 3rd stitch, that one there, which is the first one above your work, and you're going to do your 12 half double crochets into the back loop. You're going to carry on until this length of neck warmer or ribbing fits comfortably only over your head, fits around the circumference of your head comfortably, and then it'll fit comfortably around your neck and be nice and cozy. All right, so carry on, and let's get to where it's going to fit nicely over our heads. Okay, I've just finished with the neck band. We have 49 rows, which fits my neck nicely. Okay, so that's that, and let's get on to the half granny square. Okay, so now we're going to start with our half granny square. We need to make quite a big one. The longest side is going to be about this length. It's going to, yeah, be about 30 centimeters long. So it's a few rounds. But in the first round of our granny triangle, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook, whichever way you like to do that. And then we're going to chain 4. And then to make our circle in which we're going to work, we're going to do a slip stitch into that first chain that we made. Pull through, and without going over, pull through. And here's the center that we're going to work into. All right, so to do our first double crochet, we're going to chain 4, and that chain 4 is your first double crochet, and then the chain in between the double the cluster and that single lying double crochet. Okay, then we're going to do our first cluster. So into the center, pull through, pull through, and pull through. Our cluster, as you know, is made up of 3 double crochets. So here's your second one. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, now we're going to make the point at the top of our triangle, and to do that we're going to chain 2, and then back into the middle we're going to do the other side of the point, so another cluster. Okay, then we're going to chain 1 again, and then to finish off we're going to yarn over and do the last double crochet into the middle. Okay, and that's our first round. Let's have a look this way. We've got the first double crochet, we've got our first cluster, we've got our chain 2, another cluster, and then the last double crochet matching that first one over there. Okay, so now to do the second round, we're going to start this round and all rounds by chaining 4, turning your work, and now we're going to do our first cluster into this first gap here, into this first chain 1 space. So in there we go, and we do a cluster, 3 double crochets, and in between each cluster is a chain. Okay, and then we get to the top, our chain 2 space, and into that chain 2 space we're going to do the point of the triangle again. So that's 3 double crochets followed by a chain 2 and another cluster into that same chain 2 space. Followed by a chain, and then we're going to do our last cluster. So into that gap there we're going to do our last cluster, followed by a chain 1, and then a single double crochet into that gap. Okay, and then we've done 2 rounds. There we go, there's our second round of our granny triangle done. Okay, once again you're going to start with 4 chains, turn your work, yarn over, and then again into that first gap there, our first chain 1 space, we're going to do our first cluster. So there we go, 3 double crochets followed by a chain 1, and another cluster into the space there. You'll see each round your clusters on each side grows by 1, and that's how your triangle will grow. And you carry on exactly the same way for every round, and you can make your triangle as big as you need it to be. Okay, chain 1. Here we've got the point again into the top, pull through 2, pull through 2, another 2 double crochets to make up that first cluster at the point. Then we're going to do a chain 2, and the other side of the cluster at the point. 1. Let's get some wool going here. 1, 2, and 3. Once again followed by a chain, and then another cluster into that space there. Followed by a chain, and then into our last chain 1 space, which is right over there. We do our last cluster. With this variegated, very colorful wool, it's as easy to see, but when it's finished, it's going to be very pretty. Okay, there we go. And then to finish off, chain 1 and do the last double crochet, and then you just repeat this round over and over until your triangle is big enough. You chain 4, turn your work, do a cluster into that first chain 1 space. So there's a double crochet, chain, cluster right in the beginning, followed by another chain and another cluster into the next chain 1 space. And you'll see that each round your triangle gets bigger and bigger until it's the size you need. And it's nice and easy, right? Not too tricky. Okay, into the next one. 3 double crochets. You get to the tip, and you're going to do the same as before. 3 double crochets. Oopsie, followed by a chain. Oopsie, fix that there quickly. 1, 2, 3, followed by a chain back into that same gap. Okay, and that is the repeat. Just keep going until your longest side fits on your ribbing. So sort of about that size from each side. Okay, I'll meet you when we have done our half granny square, the size that we need. And I'll let you know how many rounds that was. Okay, let's just finish off this last one. There we go. Chain coming towards the end. And 3. Chain, very last cluster at the end there. Oops. Followed by a chain. Pulling too hard here. And the last double crochet into that same spot. Okay, and it's 1 size larger. So keep going with that, and I'll see you soon. that seems like the perfect length. As you can see there's a little bit of space on each side. It's 11 rows, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. And what you can do now is you take some stitch markers or some safety pins and just attach the triangle where you want it to go on your ribbing. There we go. And the same length on that side. And then you're going to take your sewing needle and you're going to sew very neatly. Work from the back, turn it over, take your needle and one thread from this side, one from this side, and as neatly as you can connect those two together. Okay, I'm going to start doing that now and I'll show you how that goes. Okay, thread your sewing needle with the long piece that you left at the end here, and then into the one thread, pull gently, find one on the other side as inconspicuous as possible on the other side, and carry on all the length of the two, and so they're joined together nice and firmly. Okay, so we're nearly there. Let's finish this, and then we need to connect the two sides of the ribbing, which is done exactly the same. You're going to either sew like we're doing now, or you can also single crochet them together or slip stitch them together. Either or, doesn't matter, but the two ends need to be connected like that. Also do it from the back, and when you've done that and you've done the front, it'll all be finished. All right, so let's finish the sewing and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, I decided to single crochet the two ends of the ribbing together. So you just take a stitch from the one side, stitch from the other side, and do a single crochet, and you do that all the way across. They'll obviously be the same, well, they should be the same number of stitches on both sides. And when you get to the other side, you're going to sew in your end, but you're going to sew it in pretty firmly because there's quite a bit of pressure that gets put on this connection as it gets put over your head all the time. So sew it in, make it nice and firm, maybe tie a knot, whatever needs to be done, that it stays done. And there we go, there's our little neck warmer completed. Look how cute it is. And that was a really fun project. Look at these lovely colors. I am really looking forward to wearing it. Very cool. Thanks for joining me. See you again soon.